4 or 5 degrees, but they'll hold up around the coast. Another feature around the coast is that we have quite a lot of showers at the moment, and still some showers feeding across the central and eastern areas, but they're fast fading away. And although we'll keep the low pressure there, most of the showers are going to be feeding onto western coasts during the night. Later on, some coming along the English Channel and into southernmost parts of the country as well. So those areas, the coastal areas, won't be as chilly as further inland. Lowest temperatures even about 10 degrees, for instance, along the Hampshire coast there. Now, we're going to lose that first crop of showers, I think, first thing, moving away from the southeastern corner. And then for most central and eastern areas, even sheltered parts of Northern Ireland, starting off dry and bright with a reasonable amount of sunshine. Showers right from the word go, though, in those western areas. Again, some could be quite heavy, hail and thunder mixed in, and cloud bubbling up again, and those showers breaking out almost anywhere during the course of the day, peaking around the early part of the afternoon before they fade away towards evening. Northeast England, some sheltered spots of eastern Scotland probably getting away with it. Not many showers there, mostly dry weather. Temperatures very similar to today's, 12 to 15 degrees. A little bit lighter those winds over, and maybe fewer showers in eastern areas, so feeling just a shade warmer. Thursday, very similar day, as a matter of fact, starts off dry and bright, even quite chilly with a touch of frost in some of those sheltered central and eastern areas. Then the cloud bubbles up again, showers break out. They'll be heaviest and most frequent in western and southern areas. Then the changeable mixture persists because on Friday, more general rain moving across the country, followed by those showers.
For her family, Heidi's so much more than a pet. And for Julie, she's more than a patient.
She just likes to sit and watch the world go by.
Jasper Carrot's illness is proving a mystery for Fiona.
Prognosis is good.
What future for Heidi, Jasper and the students?
I don't understand him. Men.
A little more stressful than I thought.
I'd give myself an A.
True stories of hope and endeavour in Vet School, Monday at 8:30 on BBC One.
Now on BBC One, North West Tonight with Martin Henfield.
A £300 million vote of confidence for Vauxhall's plant at Ellesmere Port. Several hundred new jobs could be created as the Astra plant goes state-of-the-art. A teenager denies raping small girls after luring them with promises of a pet rabbit. And dirty dancing or harmless fun? Should councils ban strip-tease bars?
They're paying my way through university quite nicely, so I don't think I'm being exploited.
Good evening, welcome to North West Tonight. Nearly 4,500 workers at Vauxhall Motors car plant at Ellesmere Port in Cheshire are looking forward to a more secure future this evening. As predicted by North West Tonight earlier this year, £300 million is to be invested by its parent company, General Motors, to modernise the plant. It could mean the creation of more jobs if sales of the Vauxhall Astra continue to grow. Alan Ury reports.
Vauxhall chose the opening day of the Birmingham Motor Show to announce their investment plans. The firm said it was a huge vote of confidence, both by themselves and the parent company General Motors. By lunchtime, workers at the Ellesmere Port site were beginning to realise what it means for them.
Well, it's good news, isn't it? It's going to create jobs. Good news for our place, future. Looking rosy now, isn't it?
It's very good for the company. Yes, we need some more investments around this area.
I think people realise that you've got to remain competitive in the marketplace to secure jobs in the future.
Vauxhall say the plant will be totally remodernised over 3 years, equipping it to meet global competition. Ellesmere Port has beaten off its rivals within the group in the rest of Europe. General Motors operates a sort of internal market in which plants have to bid for this sort of cash. It'll take total investment at the Cheshire site to £750 million in less than 10 years. Today, the unions were confident it'll mean more jobs at the site.
In the long term, I honestly believe it will do, yes. Particularly if the markets hold up and particularly if we can achieve a third shift working, then that in itself would create brand new jobs.
How many?
I would think probably between 200 and 500.
The key to Ellesmere Port's success in the 1990s has been exports. At the beginning of the decade, cars made here were for the domestic market, which has been fairly depressed. Now, a third go to places like Japan, Australia and the rest of continental Europe. In 1990, an agreement with the unions for Ellesmere Port to build GM's V6 engine paved the way for more flexible working practices, a flexibility the plant has built on since then. The V6 is now found in Saabs and Cadillacs. Those companies who manufacture components for the Astra, like this one in Birkenhead, will also benefit from the investment plan and the security which comes with it. Alan Urie, North West Tonight, Ellesmere Port.
The investment, of course, is a huge vote of confidence in the plant. I've been talking to its director, Mike Chapman, who's at the Motor Show today. He agreed the money would create new jobs.
Absolutely. It will also increase the capacity of our plant, which will enable us to produce more motor vehicles, which will hopefully mean we'll employ more people. In the long term, we hope to be able to bid for a third shift at Ellesmere Port, which would obviously employ far more people than we employ today. So you're right, it does is a vote of confidence in the existing workforce, but it's also a clear opportunity for us to expand our workforce as we go forward.
Now, what do you get for £300 million?
Well, obviously you get a lot. We get a new body shop, which will be more flexible than the existing one, which will enable us to turn around the body shops as we go into future models in the long-term future. We also completely reconfigure our general assembly area so that our Astras and Vauxhalls in the future will be made with the latest technology for both productivity and quality.
Now, this is a highly competitive market the Astra's in. You must be confident.
Yeah, it is a very competitive market. There's two attributes. There's obviously the technology and our workforce. I think the past performance of our workforce gives us the confidence that the new technology will be well used.
Very briefly, you're also bidding to build a new engine. Can you tell us something about that?
Well, obviously there's different programs around in Europe. There is talk of another engine, and if that does come to pass, we'll be doing the best we can for Ellesmere Port to locate it in Ellesmere Port.
Mike Chapman, thanks very much indeed.
Thank you.
Childless couples in parts of Lancashire face being told they're unable to have fertility treatment because of a lack of money. East Lancashire Health Authority wants to stop new referrals for treatment because its budget is already overspent by £47,000. New guidelines could reduce the age limit for treatment from 40 to 35.
Doctors, and I recognise this myself from clinical practice, always have to make decisions within limited resources, and this has always been true in the management of subfertility. So we're not changing that, and we're not reducing the numbers of couples that will have treatment. We're trying to be more explicit about the guidelines we will use to recommend treatment.
Now, more of the day's news. 300 people have called a special telephone hotline after the death of a hospital anaesthetist from an AIDS-related illness. Officials from the Wigan and Lee Health Trust say there's been no risk to patients or staff. The hotline will continue this evening and throughout tomorrow. Lancashire County Council is closing down Wyredale School in Poulton-le-Fylde. The council stepped in after concern about the behaviour of pupils at the special school. The children are being transferred elsewhere while the staff work on ways of tackling the problems. A court's been hearing how a schoolboy rapist lured young victims with promises of free puppies and rabbits. The 16-year-old, who was arrested after genetic fingerprinting tests, denies rape, attempted rape and sexual assault. Manchester Crown Court was told his youngest victim was just 8 years old. Peter Holland reports.
A jury has heard how this alleyway in Oldham was allegedly the scene of the teenager's second and perhaps his most violent crime. It's claimed he lured a 13-year-old girl here who was on an errand for her mother. There, the 16-year-old, who can't be named because of his age, allegedly raped his young victim after telling her he'd already killed 14 girls and he'd kill her if she told anyone. Police publicly linked that attack with one 6 months previously, when 3 girls were led to some garages in Oldham. It's claimed 2 of them had prayed, while the teenager attempted to rape their 9-year-old friend. The prosecution heard that in each case the teenager's method was virtually the same. He used guile and cunning, making them an offer which was totally irresistible, a puppy or a bunny for free. The court heard, like the Pied Piper, he led and they followed. But there was no puppy and no bunny, just a threat to kill and sexual violence. It's claimed he was eventually caught after blood from a cut on his hand was found on the clothing of another victim, an 8-year-old girl. The court has heard how DNA tests revealed he was probably the only male in Britain who could have committed the rapes. He'd left his signature, his calling card. The teenager has denied charges of rape and attempted rape and indecent assault. The case continues. Peter Holland, North West Tonight, Manchester Crown Court.
4 women from Manchester whose telephone numbers were published in a national newspaper after they campaigned against the striptease bar are appealing to the Press Complaints Commission. They became the target of abusive headlines in the Sport newspaper after persuading the City Council to withdraw the bar's licence. In a moment, I'll be speaking to Peter Stringfellow, the nightclub owner who proposes a similar venue in Manchester. But first, Stuart Flinders reports on the controversy surrounding the licensing of such clubs.
This is Manchester's Fantasy Bar. Here, a voucher worth up to £15 buys a striptease by the dancer of the customer's choice. For 2 years, the bar's owners have escaped the attentions of the city's licensing committee. But a fortnight ago, they were told they were to lose their licence. Immediately, the Sport newspaper attacked a group of women who helped persuade the council to close the bar down. Today, for the second time, their telephone numbers were published in the paper. The women have received obscene phone calls from Sport readers.
The girls are great, but for f***'s sake, just leave us alone, all right? You total and utter... Alison Firth, you're a...
I'm sorry for any abuse they've received, and we are putting a warning in the newspaper tomorrow asking our readers not to be rude to these councillors, and we point out that the councillors can easily dismiss swear words. What we're asking them to do is put our points to them in a reasoned manner.
There is a wider issue about whether there's a place for a bar like this in the middle of shops and offices in the city centre. In Liverpool recently, the council received a petition from people who objected to a similar bar in city centre Bold Street. But here in Manchester, we found little enthusiasm for the closure of the Fantasy Bar.
The city ought to cater for a variety of tastes, including, the gay village is an active, integral part of the city centre living and social life, and perhaps this caters for an alternative view.
I know from work all the young lads have been in, but...
Does it worry you?
Don't worry me, no.
I don't see anything wrong with it. If they want to do that, then fair enough.
The bar's owners and the dancers themselves say objectors have misunderstood their business.
They're trying to compare us to some of the sleazier type strip clubs in London and other major cities. We are not like that at all. We are here to give value for money to customers, a pleasant environment for customers, and an extremely pleasant and safe environment for the girls who work here.
They're paying my way through university quite nicely, so I don't think I'm being exploited.
Alison Firth is one of the women targeted by the Sport. Manchester wants to become a modern cosmopolitan city. Don't modern cosmopolitan cities all over the world have bars like these?
The argument on this one is its actual location, is that it is close to John Rylands Library, historic building, and it is also in a very busy shopping centre.
The bar's appeal against the withdrawal of its licence will be heard next February. In the meantime, it remains open. Stuart Flinders, North West Tonight, Manchester.
Well, the nightclub owner Peter Stringfellow joins me now, live from our London studio. You want to open the old Millionaires Club, or reopen it, with this sort of dancing. But how would your plans be affected if the council bans it?
Well, I don't think the council have banned it totally. I mean, I am, by the end of this month, and maybe 2 or 3 weeks' time, applying to the Manchester Council for a waiver of their ban on striptease with alcohol and dancing. And I shall tell them exactly what I'm going to do, at the level I'm going to do it, which is I'm an international recognised nightclub owner. My normal stages are in New York, Miami, London.
And if you
I'm
don't
coming
get that
back
waiver,
to Manchester to put this into Manchester, but only if I'm welcome.
Why is this sort of dancing so important to the club?
Well, because it is not an old form of, people say, hey, this is a backward step. It's not. It's a forward step. It's surprising to me that it's caused such a furor. I do understand the lady's concern, but it is misunderstood. I know of the Fantasy Bar. I think it's quite innocent in what it's doing. It's not a very large bar. It doesn't have big sex signs outside. So if it's run correctly and the police are happy with it and the objectors aren't the locals, what's the problem? I'll understand. But the club I want to open will be a luxury upmarket club with a restaurant.
If you don't get your waiver, what do you think this says about Manchester?
Well, I had a wonderful time when I lived in Manchester. I had a fantastic a rapport with all the authorities, and I would like to do that again. But what I think it will say is that Manchester, if Manchester wants to be the internationally recognised major city of the world, it just has to be a little bit more liberal with some of its requirements. I mean, if you want the Olympics there, it's no good expecting people to go to bed at 11 o'clock and 12 o'clock. You've got to accommodate not just the young kids for their raves, because I know that Manchester has a great reputation for the young people at the weekend rave clubs.
Peter?
Now, these are adults. Now, you should allow adults to do what they wish to do, providing they're not going to be upsetting the neighbours or the police or something like that.
Peter Stringfellow, thank you very much indeed.
My pleasure.
Still to come on North West Tonight. Doing the homework, the staff clocking in without leaving their front door. And how Rochdale's powering up for Formula One next year. But first, more of the day's news, and a prisoner who escaped from Walton Jail in Merseyside after posing as a fellow inmate is believed to be in Dublin. Police are now searching for 38-year-old Gary Richards, who was released 13 days into a 4-year sentence. A team of more than 30 detectives is now investigating the death of a 75-year-old man in Barrow. The body of Charles Keane was found in his house in Buccleuch Street yesterday. He died from multiple injuries. 6 women who work for the Equal Opportunities Commission in Manchester have begun a case for sex discrimination against their employer. The women claim maternity benefit should be equal to sickness benefit. The tribunal has reserved judgment on a request to refer the case to the European Court. Salford Council has become the first in the North West to offer furnished accommodation as an option for all its new tenants. It's hoped this will help homeless people who are frequently deterred because they can't afford to furnish property. The furniture itself will be supplied by a charity in Liverpool. Robin Anderson reports.
Only just started and the flats are being snapped up. The first 20 tenants are decorating, 25 more are on the waiting list. This flat should be ready for its furniture, carpets and curtains tomorrow. The project solves 2 problems. 7% of Salford's council flats are empty and there are people needing homes.
I was living with my parents at the time being. I was looking for a place of my own in the private sector. The private sector was far too high. It was costing like £350 to £400 a month. With the housing office, it's going to cost me £260 a month, which is ideal. Also, no deposit needed. It's a secure tenancy for life if needed.
The furniture is being made here at the Merseyside Furniture Resource Centre, a charity. Staff are trained as they work. Salford Council display the results to tempt potential tenants.
This is the stuff that we're going to be providing. It's good, solid stuff. We're very happy with it. We think the tenants will be more than happy with it. We've taken a lot of care in specifying what we want. Good, solid stuff, not plasticky. We think this will provide a good home for a lot of good tenants. This project, we hope, will have a number of benefits. First of all, to the people who are moving in, because they will have a home, furnished home to live in. From our point of view, we will be filling empty flats, which otherwise we won't collect rent on and which we will have to pay to maintain. And from a community point of view, we hope people will put down roots in what is a very good and very strong community around here.
The precinct area where the project is being launched has Salford's highest density of council flats. Over 18 months, the idea will be adopted elsewhere in the city. Other councils will be watching closely with a view to following suit. Robin Anderson, North West Tonight, in Salford.
A man's been charged with endangering an aircraft after being drunk on board after an incident on a flight from Orlando to Manchester. Passengers and air stewards fought to restrain the passenger, James Mullally, who's 37 and from Florida. He's due to appear in court tomorrow. The Royal Naval Reserve is to build a new £6 million headquarters in Liverpool. The city's Brunswick Dock has been chosen for the HQ, which will include offices and training facilities. The Navy hopes the new high-profile base will help recruitment. Now, it sounds like a dream come true, sitting at home at work rather than fighting your way into the office through the rush hour every day. But it seems that not all of us is cut out for the occupation. The Cooperative Bank is encouraging staff to work from home following a successful year-long trial. But prospective candidates have to undergo stringent tests to assess their suitability. Our business correspondent Gary Keown reports on the people who are doing their homework.
Kirsty Milne has worked for the Cooperative Bank for 12 years, for the last year from a spare bedroom at her home. The bank installed the computer system and a separate telephone line and contributes to household bills. Since she began taking part in the home working trials, she says her life's been transformed. She no longer spends 3 hours a day travelling and believes her work productivity has improved.
It means that I just come to work completely relaxed. I sit down and I start my day, and then I finish it, round about 4 o'clock, and then the rest of the day is mine. And I can go and see friends, family, and go out at night, which I never used to do before, because I used to have to go to bed really early.
This is the debt collection office where Kirsty used to work. Now she spends just 1 day a month here. The bank wants 20% of its 160 staff to work from home in the next 5 years.
We found so far that productivity has actually increased, which is probably not surprising when you think of the interruptions that people have in their working lives in the office. It does require trust, and we do stress to managers and staff that obviously you've got to enter the agreement on both sides of thinking that you trust each other that it's going to work.
This is to do a personality questionnaire. The questions are to see what attitudes and interests you have.
But not everyone takes to home working. Some dropped out of the trial scheme. Now the co-op is using psychoanalytical tests to make sure people are suited. While the initial concept of working from home sounds like most people's dream, employment experts believe many people miss the camaraderie and discipline of the office.
I think the biggest disadvantage is you're somewhat isolated from the people that you would normally work with and interact with, because so much of work is about communication between the people.
I still have the company of the people from work. I speak to work every single day. They also send me messages over the computer system, so no, I don't feel lonely.
Kirsty Milne's lunch hours are now spent walking Sam and Humphrey, her pet dogs. A number of companies in the northwest are exploring the possibility of having more staff work from home. There's no doubt that in future the face of the modern workplace will undergo significant change. Gary Keown, North West Tonight.
Some sports news now, and organisers of the Isle of Man TT have had mixed fortunes at the annual Congress of motorcycling's governing body, the FIM in Bangkok. Threats to ban the races were lifted, but their protected status will be removed. It means the TT faces competition from other major events in the future. As we heard earlier, Vauxhall has announced big plans for the Northwest. The Lancashire firm TVR has also been at the motor show today to promote a 220-mile-an-hour sports car that's competing at Le Mans. And it doesn't end there. Rochdale is joining the Grand Prix set. A design company from the town is part of a British team due to make its debut in Formula One within the next 2 years. Our sports correspondent Charles Lambert reports.
Formula One is the glamour sport. The speed takes the breath away. The danger puts the heart in the mouth. Victory means big rewards for big investment. MCD, Melling Consultancy Design, tucked away in an industrial part of Rochdale, is about to join the Glitterati. The inspiration is Al Melling, founder and owner of the company.
I've always loved engines. When I was about 11 years old, in the old cotton mill days, I had motorcycle engines in my bedroom, which didn't please my mother too much. Got older, took the qualifications, started up as a freelance, and that's it, and I've stuck with engines ever since.
Al Melling's company has teamed up with Lola Cars, based in Cambridgeshire. Lola's already well known in motorsport, boasting 5 IndyCar championships in North America, including Nigel Mansell's win in 1993. But it's in Rochdale where the engines that will power their Formula One bid are taking shape.
We try to bring some new ideas, and because if we do like everybody else, we will not be better. So we try to bring some new ideas to be better than the other one.
The design team already dreams up engines for the Blackpool-built sports car TVR. On the Grand Prix scene, they've been shadowy figures for years, troubleshooting for the big-name teams. Now the V10 Lola engine, with its 750 horsepower and 18,000 revs per minute, will take the company into new territory.
It's a step that I wanted to do for years. I wanted an engine in a car on a Formula One grid that said MCD. And now we've got there. It's a really big step.
And it isn't only Formula One. This is the design of a new motorbike engine to be used by another English company, March, which will make its debut on the world's superbike circuits next year. With Lola yet to decide whether to race next year or wait, 1997 could be busy.
It's a year that I'm frightened of even thinking about. Massive high pressure, but that's the way I like it.
A decision on whether the Grand Prix scene will hear the Rochdale roar next year is expected in the next few weeks. Charles Lambert, North West Tonight, Rochdale.
18,000 rep.
For some men, middle age can mean a crisis.
It grinds you down.
We'll soon be dead.
They need to believe they're still, you know.
It's not the age, it's the mileage.
Men unite to stay young at heart. 2.4 children tread the thin blue line. Thursday night on BBC One.
Can this man keep a cruise liner entertained? Does this woman have what it takes to serve tea at 30,000 feet? Jill Dando and Kevin Woodford go in at the deep end as an air hostess and a ship's entertainment officer. Will they be high flyers or all at sea? Fasten your seatbelts for a holiday special tomorrow at 7 on BBC One.
We'll be finding out who'll do the pudding in half an hour. Before that, and every weekday at 2 o'clock on BBC One, it's a question of words and meanings with Bob Holness.